Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Green, and today we have, I'd say, a reasonably good episode of Fantasy News to look forward to. From the cover reveals to a Lord of the Rings opera and a statement I cannot believe another human said without immediately being sent to hell, this episode of Fantasy News is going to be a bit of an emotional roller coaster. But we're going to start it on off, of course, with some cover reveals, with the first one being for A Haunted Homecoming, revealing the dark we know by Wen-Yi Lee. This has what almost kind of hits me as like charcoaly silhouette of a woman in front with this more abstract, desolated landscape behind. I actually think the font choice could have gone a wrong direction here, but overall, it kind of works. It gives me that creepy vibe with maybe a tiny bit of like a punk undertone. Comes together to be just really well composed. And this story, The Dark We Know, has a synopsis reading: art student Isodora Chang swore never to return to Slater. Growing up, Issa never felt at ease in the repressive former mining town, even before she realized she was bisexual. But after the deaths of her two childhood friends, Slater went from feeling claustrophobic to suffocating. Issa took off before the town could swallow her too, even though it meant leaving behind everything she knew, including her last surviving friend. With cover design by Korea Grande, The Dark We Know will be available August 13th of 2024. But from here we had some exciting news from The Broken Binding. The maker of many special editions are apparently going to be taking on the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. There is no preview image yet, but I am going to use this as an excuse to do a alert for you all that I actually just released my series review of Sun Eater yesterday. I normally don't do Monday videos, so if it flew under your radar, you can go ahead and check it on out. Whole new review style once again that I kind of specially made for Sun Eater and how important it has been for me. So definitely go watch that one. But in the final piece of Sun Eater news, we have also gotten the title for the final book in the series, and it is due to be out in 2025. We just got the second to last one, Disquiet Gods. I'm saying this a little bit extra so you can skip ahead if you don't want to have a book title spoiled for you, which is a thing I think is a bit silly. I know there's people out there who really don't want to know a title of a book, but really, that's how like insane we're getting with spoilers now? Anyway, it's been long enough. The title is going to be Shadows Upon Time. And hot damn! Yeah, I'm very, very excited for this one. I'm going to be starting Disquiet Gods right after I finish the book that I chose in my other video you may have missed, self-promotion, where I read the first chapters of a bunch of books, kind of like a thing I've done behind the scenes for a long time to figure out my next read, and I shared that with y'all. So check that out if you'd like to too. But for those of you who are a fan of Annihilation, be it the movie, which I think is underrated, or the book, you should be thrilled to hear that the series is going to be getting an additional entry. And I'm surprised how many people don't realize Annihilation has 2 sequels to begin with. Yes, this is going to be the 4th book in the Southern Reach, formerly trilogy, titled Absolution. This release will come along with a 10th anniversary cover set for the original 3 books, all of which displays I have on screen right now, and I cannot imagine better covers for this series. I'm gonna try again real hard. Nope, that's it. This is the best you could really do. And that 4th book in the series will be released October 22nd of this year. Now, you might kind of say, Daniel, there were some more cover reveals in that story, so there kind of was more cover reveal news. You know what? Fine then. You're right, mister. I'm gonna pick it apart. So let's do some even more cover reveals. This is not a sloppy cover-up for me forgetting that I had more cover reveals to do. And that is because we have had Patrick Leo announce the cover for A Tide of Black Steel by Anthony Ryan. This is the first book in a new series for Anthony Ryan titled Age of Wrath. But this series is a sequel series to his original trilogy, Covenant of Steel, and with cover art by Ben Pryor Designs. I've started just saying the Twitter handles if they have them, because that's like literally the most direct way I can send my audience to great artists, to be like, this is who you follow. That is enough cover talk. Let's get into easily the biggest news of the week for your average fantasy fan. And that is going to be the fact that we have had it announced there is going to be yet another Lord of the Rings adaptation. And I think, like many other people, my initial reaction to that is, can we slow the treadmill down? Because Jesus Christ, it has been game after game, show, more animated things announced, and just, you know, selling as much as possible to make as much money as an IP as they can. But after looking into this one, I understand it's a marketing pitch, but it got me. 17 hours of music is already well on the way. I'm so confused. Godfrey had for many years been working on operatic excerpts from The Lord of the Rings, and during lockdown, he and the Volanti opera folks had even begun recording excerpts, just in case. But the Tolkien estate had not granted permissions for those works to be released. Okay, we can now exclusively reveal that Godfrey and Valenti Opera Productions have been granted permissions to release recordings and scores of these works. There are 30 chapters intended to be performed over 6 evenings. The text is, of course, abridged, but uses as closely as possible Tolkien's own words, and fans can even look forward to an appearance by the most elusive characters in adaptations, Tom Bombadil. This, I'm sorry, Kayla, I disagree with you. I'm so down. This seems so cool. Look, I understand adaptation right now. A lot of people got problems with a lot of stuff going on. But from what I just read, this is exactly what adaptation should be. A mega fan who just wanted some new interpretation of a piece of art they love, and then out of pure obsession and work ethic, not even knowing they could make money on it, getting it done, then bringing it to the original creator and going, here is my adaptation of your work, and them going, that is good enough, we want to officially release it. Opera's not even necessarily my thing. That's a beautiful little story. I understand it's a marketing pitch. I understand, maybe it's not as pure as that, but that's great. And it's not like another TV show that's going to forever alter or change the way certain characters are viewed. It's an opera. This is perfect. I'm so down for that. That's so cool. Basically, what I'm trying to just say is this enters a territory as a project where I don't even necessarily need it to be great, because whenever fans, out of a true love, passion for doing something that aren't guaranteed success, make something that is adapting a series they love, a story, a narrative that means a lot to them, I want to always encourage that. That's so cool. It's fandom in its purest form, not tainted by the desire for money or pleasing some investor, and the fact that the original estate, however you may feel about them, greenlit this. Pretty dope. This make me happy. I guess my brain there went opera Italian, do Italian accent. But in a story I cannot stress enough, in terms of like artistic value, the beauty of fandom is in the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Like the grossest thing possible. Yes, it has been confirmed that on a same-day release, we will be getting a Snyder cut of both the first and second Rebel Moons, it totaling about 6 hours total in length. Specifically, Rebel Moon director Zack Snyder has said the director's cut versions of both it and its sequel will likely hit Netflix the same day. Snyder made it clear he does not have a release date in mind for the pair of extended films, which will be around an hour longer than the regular Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2, but did say a same-day release in summer 2024 is likely. And we all knew from way back when they said they were even going to do the R-rated cut, they're just artificially trying to recreate the Snyder cut success. And after watching the first Rebel Moon movie and doing my review here, I fully believe they even kind of wanted that version to be viewed as chopped down and bad to try and recreate the push from fans in that sense. And it's a complete misreading of what happened in the original Justice League situation, and it's so blatantly artificial. I can fully admit this is a conspiracy theory from me, right? I don't have proof that they wanted that first version but to fail. But after watching it and constantly seeing the re-emphasizing from Snyder himself, saying this longer version is going to be the adult, super R-rated one. Fuck off. Just, if you thought all around this was going to be the better version of the movie to begin with, and you're being released on streaming, which is already known for allowing directors and creators to do longer, more adult cuts of things, why did this PG-13 thing exist to begin with? To my core, I believe to try and force a Snyder Cut situation to reoccur, which it is not. It's just lackluster. It's barely a movie. That was a whole lot of negativity that I want to take, crumple up, throw away. Because right now we need some wholesome, fantastic vibes. And this might be a bit out of the normal ballpark for us to cover here on Fantasy News, but I'm so happy it was posted in the Fantasy News channel. And please do post more unorthodox approaches to fantasy and art and creation for us to cover here, because I think that just makes the show itself more interesting. But getting to the actual point, it has been reported in the BBC that an artistic display known as Ron's house is getting a listed status. There's immediately a bunch of things to clarify there, so let's go ahead and get into that. Who is Ron? What is his house? Well, Ron is a non-traditionally trained artist, an outsider artist is called, who it seems has been taking on this tremendous project without any commercial funding or, popular modern art influences coming in within his own home that no one else knew about, not even his family, and it wasn't discovered until after his death in 2019. And Ron has transformed his flat into this artistic recreation, reimagining of all these great historic pieces coming together in this fantasy world that is just stunning to see. What it means by getting listed is this artist who had no real influence or claim to the modern art world is being actually recognized on the national, maybe even international level, and this piece will be protected and act as a site for future artistic showcasings. Ron Giddens posthumously is getting recognized and honored within the art world in a way that, yeah, I really wish obviously he could have seen while he was alive, but it's beautiful to see so many people, especially in his local community, seem to gather around and appreciate, something that might not be up to the standard of the most technically impressive art of all time, but that's not the point. It's so immersive. This man took his home and just utterly transformed it top to bottom with his own two hands. Please go check out this full article. I raved about it on Twitch when I came across it with my audience. The fact that this guy's own family didn't even know about it, I don't know if it's due to like his own insecurity or it was just a private thing for himself. Now that he's gone, I think it's appropriate for everyone to appreciate what this person was doing, but yeah, I'm just amazed, and I wish I had the bravery to commit to a project like this. Unreal. But first, I want to give you a fashion show. So you all might remember we had Holtzgren on the channel back in January as a sponsor, and no joke, I haven't stopped using their products since. I thought I wasn't a watch guy. Turns out I wasn't a smartwatch guy. Your boy likes wearing watches. It feels nice. These polarized shades are my default in the car. I actually see the world more clearly through them than I do without them, especially when it's sunny out, and it kind of makes everything feel like a Wes Anderson film, who's not my favorite director, but I do like his visuals. The UV 400 protection, also a bonus. And I was such a big fan of my first watch, I got a second with maple and howlite. How nice is the howlite? What the f is howlite? And as someone who likes to get a bit wet in the summer, I'm glad that it has a Hydro Defense resin coating and solar tech panels, which gets the battery a runtime of 6 months. But the best part was this time I got Kayla something she's been wanting for a long time. A new bag! Holtzgren has everything from watches to jewelry to sunglasses and more stunning, unique cases, all partially made from natural materials. It's the perfect gift for someone special in your life. But if you're like Kayla and me, located abroad, you can choose from over 1,000 designs in their online portfolio. Even better, Holtzgren is offering free express worldwide shipping for members of the Goblin Horde. Customs fees are for them to handle too, so you got nothing to worry about, and all the packaging is sent using recycled materials. Best of all, use promo code Daniel at checkout and get 15% off your purchase. So definitely go give Holtzgren some love. Be sure to click the link in the description down below or scan the QR code currently on the screen. Find something you love just like we did, and now back to the video. Not to give you all whiplash, which I think we could be in the territory approaching now with the back to forth that's been going on tonally here. But I wanted to do a little bit of a special showcasing in today's fantasy news to just talk about one of the most out-of-pocket things I have ever come across in an article. This is very debatably not even fantasy news. It was just posted in the Discord channel, and I clicked on it and could not stop just my jaw from hitting the floor that a person said these words and the earth just didn't immediately open up and consume them. And if you are interested in PR at all, please look to this as a fantastic showcasing of how to take a situation that's bad and just dump kerosene all over it. But let's give context first, because I want you to be able to fully appreciate what this person is saying. Roblox is a game that is very popular amongst the youths, and within this game there is a market, so to speak, where players can actually use tools provided within Roblox to create new games that they can then put on the marketplace and get a cut from. It's not anything huge, and most people don't make a ton of money doing it. There are rare exceptions, of course, but a problem has emerged where people are realizing there are children who are now making money here, and Roblox is taking a substantial cut of what these children are making for them. But when asked about it, here is what the head of Roblox Studios had to say. Stefano Corazza said, "I don't know, you can say this for a lot of things, right? Like, you can say, okay, we're exploiting children, you know, right? I'm gonna stop y'all right there." Oh my God. I want to issue a challenge to you, the audience. Try and go back to when I had that quote on screen and say it out loud to yourself and not feel like a villain. Because let's go over that sentence, that roller coaster ride together once again. I don't know. You can say this for a lot of things, right? Like, you can say, okay, we are exploiting children. You know, child labor, right? This is bad. I want to make it clear. I am very against this. I think this is bad. It's funny because I find it so horrific. He then went on to say, or you can say, we are offering people anywhere in the world the capability to get a job and even like an income. So you can be like 15 years old in Indonesia living in a slum. You know, the vulnerable people desperate for money who we can then exploit. And then, you know, with just a laptop, I can create something, make money, and then sustain my life. You know, how minors should have the pressure put on their shoulders to sustain them and their families' lives. As you can imagine, this was almost immediately followed up with a PR statement, and I just want to say, media training is very important. And if you are someone who happens to be in a position where a microphone could be in front of your place, it's surprisingly easy to not think through how your words might be taken. And even here, I don't think there are a good way for them to be taken, period. But the road to media firestorms is paved by cocky C followed by a letter O's with too much confidence. This is a in real life example of someone saying pretty much the children yearn for the mines. Just to be clear, if you read the full interview, it does not get better. It's full of all kinds of fallacies and bad faith arguments, like saying, well, the average age of our developers is above 20, which, you know how you get as low as 20? There's quite a bit below that. And then pointing to how there are some people who make lots of money in their market, which then, you know, how much of those are the children, and how is that a justification for, you know, relying on children's labor? It's wild, but I think I over-summarized, and I want to give you a little more context. And in the only piece of quickie news we're going to be covering here this week, Futurama is going to be returning once again. No, it will not stay dead. How dare you ask? How rude. July 29th on Hulu. And this isn't like another revival. It's just a continuation of the last revival. They were planning multiple seasons, and now we are on the second season of the, I think, like fifth revival. The end of the world's going to be cockroaches in Futurama. And Hayao Miyazaki is still not retired, drawing on something. And before we get into promoting an indie pub book from within the Goblin Horde, I just want to do a quick piece of shout out news because Tim Hickson, aka Hello Future Me, has released probably the greatest review of Rings of Power on the internet in his channel. The level of research he did, finding quotes from the showrunners and all kinds of misunderstandings of Tolkien's original work, is just incredible without falling into so many pitfalls of very critical modern media. So if you would like to check that on out, he's so funny, so insightful, and I genuinely genuinely like took some writing advice, of course, because it's Tim, from his video. So I'll have that link down below as well. But now, let's see a book written by one of you all.
And today's Indie Pub promo is The Broken World by H.M. Johnson, with cover art by Cordelia Carla. Pitched as for fans of the pacing and character development of Avatar: The Last Airbender, told in an episodic format with medieval kingdoms and modern cities right across from each other. Marilyn Rain sets off on an adventure with one goal in mind: find an ancient crystal that tore the world apart. With it, she can finally join the Explorers Guild and follow in her grandfather's footsteps. The only problem? Rain's never been an explorer before, and there is a lot to learn. Oh, and the Frost Dragon. That's a problem too. With the help of some unlikely allies and a whole bunch of granola bars, Rain must complete her quest because if she doesn't, then the broken world stands no chance of being put back together. Check it out in the links down below.
But this has just been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Check out my books, Neon Ghosts, or the Lawful Time series, if you have not already. And again, thank you to Holtzgren for sponsoring Fantasy News. I made sure to pick up the Guidance Watch, and it's been pretty much on my wrist every other day-ish, which is good for me for a watch. I'm not great about wearing them since I got it. So head on over to holtzgren.com/Daniel Green. Be sure to use code Daniel for 15% off your purchase, and have a great one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier patrons: Soul Mill, Mukiri, Mori, Hikari, Zesty, Hamburger, and Aaron Mooney.